Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Jammed. In today's episode, I want to talk to you about something that a lot of us experience, but don't always have the words for. That thing where people are real quick to criticize you, real quick to judge your decisions, real quick to tell you how you should be moving, but somehow they never seem to hold themselves to those same standards. They'll point the fingers all day, but never look in the mirror. If you've ever been judged by someone doing the same or worse than what they're accusing you of, this episode is for you. Enjoy the show. So let's start here. People love to criticize what they don't have the courage to do themselves. It's easy to comment from the sidelines, or like people say, from the stands. It's easy to judge when you're not the one that's taking the risk. It's easy to call out the flaws when you're not putting yourself out there. The wild part is most criticism, it doesn't come from the people that are doing better than you. It comes from the people who are stuck, the people that are insecure, people who are uncomfortable watching someone else try. And instead of asking, why does this trigger me? They decide to be like, let me just humble you. But that's not humility. That's projection. And projection is the real issue. A lot of judgment is really just people telling on themselves. When someone constantly accuses you of being selfish, ask yourself, are they the ones that's actually struggling with being selfish? When someone calls you fake, are they the ones who don't really know who they are? When someone says, you've changed, what they often mean is, you stopped being who I was comfortable controlling. People project fears, regrets, and insecurity on others all the time because it's easier than dealing with their own reflection. Looking inward, that requires accountability. Criticizing others, that requires nothing. Now here's the part that really messes with people. Some folks hold you to a higher standard than they hold themselves. And not because you asked for it. Here's why that happens. Number one, you remind them of who they wanted to be. Your growth highlights their stagnation. You taking action reminds them of all the things they talked about but never did. Instead of being inspired, they feel exposed. So they raise the bar for you instead of raising it for themselves. Number two, they benefit from the old version of you. The old you was quieter, maybe easier to control. The old you was more available. The old you didn't change the dynamic. When you evolve, they lose comfort. And instead of adjusting, they criticize. Number three, you're visible. When you put yourself out there, online, creatively, professionally, you become an easy target. Visibility invites opinions. Silence doesn't. People mistake access to you for authority over you. Number four, they see potential they don't see in themselves. This one is subtle, but real. Sometimes people judge you harder because deep down, they believe you should be better. Not because you're failing, but because they see something in you they never nurtured in themselves. So now let's get practical. Let's figure out, how do you identify these people? Here are some signs you're dealing with someone who criticizes you without checking themselves. They talk more than they listen. They're always ready with advice, but never curious about your perspective. Their feedback is vague and emotional, not constructive, not specific, just loaded with tone and judgment. They focus on your flaws, not your effort. They ignore the progress and highlight your imperfections. They rarely celebrate your wins, or they minimize them. Oh, anyone can do that, or that's not impressive. They never apply their advice to their own life. Big opinions, little action. If you notice these patterns consistently, it's not a coincidence. So now you might ask yourself, how do you deal with these people without losing your peace? Here's the part people really want to know. You don't need to argue with everyone who misunderstands you. You don't need to defend yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. Here are a few ways to handle it. Number one, detach emotionally. Not every opinion deserves a reaction. Some people feed off your response more than the situation itself. Silence isn't weakness. It's selectivity. You choose on what you want to respond to. Number 2, stop over-explaining. You don't need a detailed explanation for your growth. People who genuinely care will ask questions, not make accusations. Number 3, observe patterns, not moments. Everyone has bad days, but repeated judgment is a pattern, and patterns, they tell the truth. Number 4, adjust access, not your values. You don't have to cut everyone off dramatically. Sometimes the move is just less access, less information, less energy. Number 5, let your consistency speak. Nothing confuses critics more than you staying solid. No reaction, no crashing out, just progress. Now here's the uncomfortable truth. People who are constantly judging others are often avoiding themselves. It's easier to critique your life than confront their own habits, their own relationships, their own unhealed stuff. And once you realize that, their opinions lose weight. Because advice from someone who won't face themselves is just noise. Now, if you don't take anything else from this episode, take this. You're not required to shrink to make others comfortable. You're not obligated to live by standards that others refuse to live by. And you're not wrong for outgrowing people who refuse to grow with you. Let them talk. Let them judge. Let them project. You keep moving, because people who are focused on their own reflection don't have time to criticize yours. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you've ever been judged unfairly, just know you're not alone. As always, take care of yourself and each other. If not, you may be jammed. Thanks for listening.